Good morning and welcome. Usually I would just be able to sit here and talk off the cuff when introducing somebody, but with the accolades and career achievements that Mr. Pilsbury had, wanted to make sure I wrote it down so I remembered everything. Mr. Pilsbury joined Marriott Corporation in 1969. During his 20-year tenure at Marriott, he served in a variety of roles, including hotel general manager, director of sales and marketing, and strategic planning and development. In 1986, he was named a corporate officer and executive vice president of Marriott Corporation. From 1986 to 1989, he revamped Marriott's pricing strategies and developed the first generation of revenue management and yield management systems. He also had a hand in starting the frequent traveler program for Marriott Rewards. He launched venture teams that led Marriott's entry into the time-sharing business, Fairfield Inns, Residence Inns. As vice president and general manager, he supervised 18,000 people and over $1 billion in capital investment. Today, Mr. Pilsbury is the CEO and chairman of Thayer Lodging Group, which he founded in 1991. It is placed in the top 5% of all institutional real estate fund sponsors and recently announced the launch of its 7th institutional hotel real estate fund. He has played a major role in the launch of numerous new companies, including internet services provider TIG, Chinese Central Reservations innovator Hub S1, and Pure Rooms Company providing hypoallergenic guest rooms. I know this man as my owner and somebody who has given us every resource possible to be successful here at the Miami Airport at the Sheraton. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Leland Pilsbury.
So thank you, everybody, and it's great to be here with you this morning. I am so proud of what the team at this hotel has accomplished this past year. Miami, of course, is a great hotel market, one of the best in the country, and you have had a phenomenal 2012. You're off to a great start in 2013, but this hotel has just really risen to the top of our pile, thanks to the management team here. The RevPAR index is up over 100%, 10 points in RevPAR index gained year over year. Just terrific. Really terrific. So, and that's really what I want to talk about this morning. And as a hotelman, as a general manager, started as a soda jerk at Howard Johnson's, and my wife likes to say that I don't deal with the soda anymore. Thank you. But you know, my whole career has been in our business, and the thing that I've learned at the end of the day, in order to be successful, you've got to take customers out of your competing hotels. It's a zero-sum game. Just because you become general manager of this hotel doesn't mean anybody else is going to fly into Miami Airport. So the way you succeed is to provide better service and attract more customers and ultimately charge a higher price. So I learned that in school. Ellsworth Milton Statler, who built one of the first chains of hotels in the United States, starting back in the early 1900s, had a very famous quote that's on the wall of the Cornell School of Hotel Administration, who says, "Life is service. The one who succeeds is the one who gives his fellow man a little more, a little better service." So today I'm going to talk about changes in competition, what's happening in our business, how it's impacting us in the hotel industry. But think about it in the context of service. Think about it in the context of the value to the consumer, to the customer, to our guest. So what I'm going to focus on is what I call disruptive innovation. And by that I mean changing the status quo. So disruptive innovation is the new punk rock. And we're in a mature business. It looks a lot like it did when I first got in business back in the 1960s. And you know, there's the beds, the telephones, it's a flat panel TV, but you know, it's TV. Maybe it was black and white then, but you know, now it's, you know, there's still TV. There's still a door and a door lock and all the basics, the front desk. We used to have paper folios, now we have computer CRT screens. We used to have desk clerks who had their heads buried in the buckets of reservations. Now we have desk clerks with their heads buried in the CRTs. So the industry really looks pretty similar to what it did even 50 years ago. But the truth of the matter is that an enormous amount has changed. And an enormous amount has changed not only in how we do things, but also how our guests do things. And so this is a little hard to read here, but the takeaway here, how many of you know Red Bull? How many of you have ever had a Red Bull? Yeah. No? So Red Bull is without a doubt the worst tasting crap I've ever had in my life. You know? If you've ever had one of them, it's highly unlikely you've had a second, right? But here's a company that has disrupted the sports drink market, the energy drink. They created the energy drink market out of a product that didn't exist. And a true example of disruption in that business. Similarly, bottled water. And it's hard to understand how you can take a can of Coca-Cola, take all the ingredients out of it, and charge more for it than when you had all those ingredients in it. Okay? But that's bottled water. So, innovation is occurring all over in business models. It's occurring in technology. I made a note here on mobile, which I want to talk more about. Mobile is going to change your life. It's going to change the way you do business. And travel and tourism has been impacted as well. So business models, if you think about Amazon didn't invent any products. I mean, in fact, all they do is sell somebody else's stuff. Right? But they found a new way to do it. One of the things that they have done is one click. Right? And how many of you buy things on Amazon? Right? So do you know it's the only company online that has one-click purchases? The only company. They have managed to get a patent on one click. So no other online retailers can offer one-click purchasing. Amazing. Amazing. Dell, what Dell did that made them so successful was customization. They enabled you to build a computer exactly to your specifications. Now, they got into the retail business and you started seeing Dells and Best Buys and other places, but the core of the business, what made them so successful, was the ability for you, the consumer, to have a customized computer that met exactly your requirements. And of course, eBay has created the backyard garage sale. And you know, my mother used to have eBay, right? Out in the street on Saturday morning, right? With the card table, right? So in technology, I mean, we're all experiencing that. How many of you read the newspaper every day, or most days? So personally, I have a subscription to 3 newspapers, and I really like getting my newspaper in the morning and turning the pages. But I got to tell you, my nieces and nephews, none of them ever touched a newspaper. It's all online. The way that they get and process information is completely different. Completely different. And when I was in marketing for Marriott, we used to run ads in the Sunday travel section of the New York Times. How many of you even know that the New York Times has a travel section, right? And certainly my nieces and nephews wouldn't know that. Right? So the distribution channels, the marketing channels have all changed, and you see that tablet up there. We're this close to making laptop computers obsolete. Certainly within the next 5 years, laptops are gone. There's no longer any reason to have one. So in our business, this is a lot of information. But let me just, since you can't see it, I'll read some of the highlights to you. Global tourism, $1 trillion. $1 trillion in 2011, up almost 2% in over 2010. 5% growth per annum globally over the next 5 years. U.S. business travel, $32 billion to $46 billion in the next 5 years, almost a 50% increase. China will emerge as the largest single country for outbound tourists. So I do a lot of business in China. We've been there since 2004. Mary and I are in China 4 or 5 times a year. We're partnered with a very large state-owned enterprise in China that together we own Interstate Hotels and Resorts. And by the end of this decade, 100 million outbound Chinese travelers annually. You better figure out how to say ni hao in Chinese. If you're in a city like Miami, you're already dealing with international travelers. You already have a strong appreciation for different cultures. But here comes a tidal wave. In China itself, there's about 2.5 million hotel rooms today in China. That compares to about 5.5 million in the United States. So 310 million people here, 5.5 million hotel rooms, 1.3 billion over there, and about 2.5 million hotel rooms. Within the next decade, China will surpass the United States on many dimensions, one of which will be the number of hotels and the number of hotel rooms. And our partner over there, for example, launched a limited service hotel called Jinjiang Inns that's basically $10 to $15 a night US, which is about 85 renminbi a night. They built 40 of them the first year that I was working with them. In the second year, they built 300, and they've been building 300 euros since. And so, if you think about growth opportunities, maybe learning Mandarin might be a good thing to do. Might be a good thing to do. So, global travel growth. This is an industry that never was global. When I entered this business, in fact, when I got out of college, when I got married, I didn't have a passport. You know, the closest I'd ever been to a foreign country was when my parents took me to Niagara Falls, right? And I looked across the falls at Canada, right? And then I married a Canadian and found out just how foreign it was. But today, of course, our workforce is global. Our guests are global. Our co-workers are global. Right? Our owners are global. My partner's Chinese. We have investors from Qatar, Saudi Arabia. Right? Lenders. The major lender to Interstate Hotels and Resorts is ICBC, the International Construction Bank of China, right, who made us a loan through Luxembourg. So it is very much of a global industry. And I don't think it's important that you know how to speak a foreign language, but I think it's critically important that you be able to understand and manage cross-culturally. And there's so much beyond just understanding a language. As I said, I don't speak Mandarin. I don't know 25 words of Mandarin. It's a very, very difficult language, and I'm a slow learner. But it's so easy to offend people. You know, you're sitting here with your legs crossed, showing me the sole of your foot. How dare you? Right? My God. And furthermore, you're leaning back in your chair. You're not sitting up straight paying attention to me. Right? All these little subtle cultural traditions, habits become barriers. Whether you're dealing in Shanghai, as I do, or whether you're dealing with Chinese students at FIU. So, disruptive innovation all around. Again, hard to read the slides. I apologize for that. But we think about the internet. We built the first website for a hotel, which was in 1994 for the DoubleTree, Sunrise Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. It was the first website ever built for a hotel. And 3 days later, we got a reservations request from some guy in Scandinavia. Right? I mean, who would have thunk it? Right? And so I'm looking at this request, and gee, I'd like to come to Fort Lauderdale. This guy's in Scandinavia. And I said, there's something to this. You know, there's something to this. And so we ultimately built websites for all of our hotels. The organization that we put together to do that, we spun off in about 2000 to a company called TIG Global, and it's now owned by Micros, and it serves a large number of hotels around the United States. Google. And Google's now a verb. Right? You know, it's now a verb, for gosh sakes. Right? So, in our business, what's happening? Digital data, the amount of information contained in computers is growing at over 60% a year. Over 60% a year. So the amount of information that if you have a teenager or a student in high school, the amount of information that that student gets in 1 year is more than his grandfather saw in his entire lifetime. Just stunning, stunning. Mobile, do you know over 73% of the world population, 73% have a mobile device? We're talking 6 billion people. We're talking people in Africa. India, 73% of the entire world's population has a mobile device. If you aren't thinking about mobile in your marketing, you aren't thinking about mobile in your distribution, you aren't thinking about mobile in your operations applications,
that's good.
You're behind. You're behind. So, smartphones, 500 million smartphones are in use. 50% of smartphone owners have downloaded a travel app. 50% a travel app. Travel e-commerce grew 73% from 05 to 2010, $85 billion. And mobile e-commerce, $160 billion within just a few years. The two graphs down here, big data and the cloud. What we're talking about here, the cloud is nothing more than software as a service. It's how computing was done up until IBM invented the laptop computer, the desktop computer in the 1980s. Everything was done on big central mainframes. Well, that's where it's going back there now. So the first wave, again, things these are countries down here across the bottom. Social media becoming more relevant for travel. Percent of respondents using social media travel-related websites. Right? The U.S. 60%, Canada 66%, Sweden and Denmark, and the UK 77% utilization. Hotels, airlines are really trying to get rid of Expedia and the OTAs. We all live with their burden, and honestly, I think it's very hard for a business to succeed when everybody in the value chain hates it. But Expedia has done very well, right? Despite my distaste for it. But I think you know, I'm investing personally. We're investing as a company in trying to dislodge them, and hopefully for you we'll succeed. I want to talk about some specific innovative technologies we're using, trying to disrupt travel patterns, trying to move demand, and trying to increase preference. So Pure, which we're going to talk a little bit about, right? Is an interesting one. 33% of people who travel in hotels say they have some sort of allergy, hay fever, or asthma. Huge problem in this country. Not well understood, not clearly focused on. But a third of travelers here with allergies, hay fever, and asthma. So what Pure has done is address that. And for those of you who have allergy or hay fever or asthma, spending a night in the Pure Room is a life-changing experience. It is really remarkable the impact that it has. For those of us that don't have it, it's kind of hard to understand. I have the Pure Room technology in my bedroom, and I sleep much better, even though I don't suffer from allergy or any of that. But for people who do, it's astounding the difference it makes. And maybe you'll talk about the technology a little bit and how it does that. But it's pretty remarkable. But thank you. Listen, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I'm a proud Florida resident. I live up in Fort Lauderdale. Mary and I live up in Fort Lauderdale. And we travel all the time. My wife, who I didn't talk about this morning, I normally do, I'll just tell you a couple of things about her. She is one of maybe 1,000 women in the United States who are licensed and rated to fly jet planes. And you haven't lived until you've been doing a series of snap rolls in the backseat of her jet, her military fighter jet, right? With her telling me to eat bananas before I go because they taste the same coming up as they do going down. So what distinguishes her, though, and I'll stop talking. What distinguishes her is her courage. She is a huge coward. My wife is terrified. My wife goes through life shaking like a $20 TV, right? Every possible monster that can come out of the toilet, she's thought about, right? And every time she gets in the airplane, right? Right? And she acts, you know, and courage, my definition of courage is the willingness and the ability to act in the face of uncertainty, in the face of terror, right? Face of fear. And so, certainly the most courageous person I've ever known. So, anyway, thanks. Bowling. This is a little late for a bowling ball.
Actually, I think this is for Mary now.
Bowling?
So you've got your own pen and pad, but I know you go in the air and the sea. You have to work on the boat.
You bet. You bet.
And then this is a gift from the very nice beaches and houses.
Well, thank you, Winnie. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.